This is 7 News, the voice of the coast.
Tonight, heartbreak for a family as a vandal continues to trash a memorial.
The Clarence River prawning industry now in a fight for survival. I'm Daniel Gibson. Later on, this news hour, 3 parties to pick a boss as Labor reshuffles into upper ranks, and a teacher accused of having child abuse material learns his fate.
7 News begins now.
Good evening. A Port Macquarie family has been devastated by a disgusting act of vandalism.
Their memorial has become the target, attacked at least 3 times.
In the most recent instance, the vandals left a disturbing message. Samantha Crowe has been with some of the family today, and Sam, they're heartbroken.
Absolutely, Maddie. The senseless crime has rocked not just them, but also the wider community. Now they've issued a plea to try to track down the culprit to stop it from happening a 4th time. A family memorial vandalised for the 3rd time.
It breaks our heart every time it's happened.
In the most recent attack, even part of the seat was removed, the culprits leaving a sickening taunt. "You can't stop me." The seat was originally installed with council permission 22 years ago in honour of Ken's son Andrew, who died from brain cancer at the age of 22. Ken and Andrew used to surf this point together.
I asked him to put my ashes here one day. It turned out that he passed away a lot earlier than I did. It's been 22 years, still very raw. So that's why it's a pretty special place.
Andrew's ashes were scattered here 2 years after his death. Ken's father died of bowel cancer shortly after Julie, Ken's wife, lost her parents in a car accident. The 3 plaques in their honour, all 4, now rest in these waters.
It is 4 at this stage, and I know there'll be a 5th and 6th here because it's exactly where I'd like my ashes to be, back with my son.
The disgusting act of vandalism has been reported to police.
It's heartbreaking to hear the story of that plaque being taken a number of times. Vandalism is a serious matter that the police will investigate.
The Brown family issuing a plea for anyone with information to contact Crime Stoppers, so the seat will continue to be a place for the whole community.
I just wonder what they do if someone did something to their family, because it just brings up a whole lot of raw emotion all over again, and we don't need that.
Samantha Crowe, 7 News.
Well, the member for Page, Kevin Hogan, has been elected Deputy Leader of the National Party. It happened in a party room vote that saw David Littleproud survive a leadership challenge from Matt Canavan. The Nats acknowledging the election loss, but standing by their record in retaining all of their lower house seats. Kevin Hogan says they're still the only party that are looking out for the bush.
Capricornia, Flynn, Dawson, Page, my seat, which were all held by the Labor Party in 2007, New England and Lyne were held by independents in 2007. Now, we over the period have won those seats back and held them through very trying times.
And we will have more on the Coalition's leadership contest with Daniel Gibson at 6:30.
Prawn fishers are facing a devastating end to the industry's 2-year biosecurity shutdown. A positive test for white spot in ocean waters off the Clarence could see even more closures.
The once lucrative prawning industry on the Clarence River is in dry dock. A new discovery of white spot at the end of a 2-year biosecurity shutdown.
We'd much rather be back working and fishing, and some 55 families that, are going to struggle now.
The new detection in nearby ocean waters delivering a devastating blow. The state MP frustrated.
My electorate is under a biosecurity order, but we are letting green prawns from areas where there are white spot into this nation unchecked, unvetted.
Hopes of resurrecting the $15 million industry quickly fading.
We've got young people with young families, and we've got businesses worth $150,000, say 2 years ago, are worth $1.50, if that.
Prawners calling for a new zoning, separating estuaries from oceans, especially considering the river's clean bill of health.
Over 10,000 tests have been undertaken and not one positive test in the estuary.
The move ending blanket restrictions and allowing the Clarence fleet to return to work, a chance to re-establish once thriving overseas markets.
We sell a lot into the Asian market where they like the small green stool prawn to fry up, and that in itself is a massive market.
Mr Williamson also calling for ongoing financial help if the control order is extended beyond the 9th of June.
There certainly has to be a continuation of support. Otherwise, there won't be an industry for anyone to come back to.
This Penny, 7 News.
New South Wales Police are marking 100 years of road safety and the advances in technology helping to save lives. But of course, there is still a very long way to go to stop the growing road toll in our state. Medina Wells joins us live now from Taree. Medina, how has road safety changed?
Nick, road safety has come a long way over the past 100 years. Initiatives that started off as unique ideas have now become part of our everyday life on the road. 100 years on, and New South Wales roads look a little different.
So far, 1,244 people have died on the state's roads in 1979. And although it's less than last year's record, the police and state government are far from satisfied.
Over the years, we have improved our skills on the roads, but police are still battling to stem the rise of deaths in New South Wales.
In 1975, there was almost 1,300 fatal crashes in New South Wales. This year, we have 131 in New South Wales, which is still 131 too many.
The changes that have had the most impact on roads are the introduction of seatbelts, as well as random breath testing and speed cameras.
Hi there, is there a breath test and a license check? Do you have your license there, please?
Particularly the reduction of road trauma. A lot of it lies in the introduction of compulsory seatbelts in the early 1970s.
A big issue the Manning Valley faces, complacency on rural roads, with a large proportion of single vehicle crashes not far from home.
We also see a disturbing amount on our local road network, and that's where people, just in that last bit before they get home, they're a bit complacent, they might cut a corner, they might not recognise conditions have changed a little bit, they've done it a million times.
Medina Wells, 7 News.
Detectives are ramping up the investigation into the Nambucca Leagues Club Inferno. The early morning blaze destroyed the club on Wednesday, the 22nd of January. Police have released this image of a vehicle seen in the area a short time before the fire took hold. They're hoping someone may be able to identify the dark-coloured late model ute or its driver. If you have any information that could help the investigation, please call Crime Stoppers.
Police believe a car fire in Gunnellabar may have been deliberately lit. Emergency services were called to a property along Invercold Road around 8 o'clock last night, where they found a Volkswagen Passat well alight. It took fire crews just over an hour to extinguish the blaze. Firefighters were later called back to the scene at 2:30 this morning when it reignited. It's the third car fire on the streets in the past 2 months.
A North Lismore artist has turned a buyback home into an art gallery and studio after losing almost everything in the 2022 floods. Jimmy Willing has been couch surfing for the past 3 years. Now he's back home, squatting next door to his flood-affected studio.
A place to express his emotions on canvas, turning his trauma into art. The memory of the 2022 floods came rushing back to Jimmy Willing when he decided to come back home to North Lismore.
We just sat in the roof for hours. My only view on the flood was to look out of the roof through the window and I could see the water.
Walking into the house this deep in water, looking for Jimmy, expecting him to be in the ceiling, calling out, but because of the chaos, he couldn't hear me and I couldn't hear him.
The 60-year-old artist has been couch surfing since the disaster. The floods destroying the studio he was renting at the time, but he did manage to save precious and priceless artworks.
We washed them one after another in the shower and then hung them all out to dry.
He's been there for nearly 30 years, either in the house or in the studio. But that studio is one of the first places in Lismore to go under.
Now he's squatting next door in a buyback home with the previous owner's permission. But that won't stop it from being demolished in 2 months' time. Jimmy's hoping he can stay, the home a way to show off his artwork and continue painting.
To anybody that says I can't go home, well, I think that's actually a pretty rotten thing to say. We've all been through a lot.
Elise Holden, 7 News.
Well, Kirsty joins us now for a look at today's weather. And Kirsty, a bit of a drizzly day up and down the coast.
Yes, it has been, Maddie. But before we get to our weather, of course, a big welcome back to you. We haven't seen you for about a year off on mat leave.
Maddie, we're very excited to have you back. We have missed you terribly. It's good to have you here, and I have a feeling that our audience at home also missed you. So welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. It's really lovely to be back here in the studio with you guys and seeing you guys at home. Well, not seeing you, but being there with you at home.
Yeah, the presence is felt. Well, we did have a few drizzly conditions, though, to welcome Maddie back. It comes off the back of that wet weather falling across the weekend. More showers overnight too. Wet ground this morning in Port Macquarie. 18 millimetres collected. We had 6 millimetres in Coffs Harbour, and today has looked mostly overcast with those showers persisting through the far north. We've had about 10 millimetres through 4 parts of Byron Bay, about 11 through Millumbimby and 5 in Lismore. Temperatures have remained in the low 20s, but with a southeasterly breeze that was quite gusty along the coastal fringe. At this rate, though, a very wet week is on the forecast. In fact, no signs of clear skies for most of the week. I'll have how much rain we can expect a little later on.
All right, Kirsty, we'll see you soon. Thank you. Well, up next in 7 News, Beef Week kicks off in Wingham.
And recognition for some of health's hardest workers.
A little later on this news hour, big changes in Canberra as the Prime Minister unveils his new look cabinet. Plus, a global trade war appears to have been averted. Talks progress between the US and China. And an all-out brawl causes chaos at a Tina Arena concert.
Nurses are being celebrated in the world for their compassion and care. In Port Macquarie, there was some extra encouragement handed out for those who were just getting started in the profession.
Providers of care, support and compassion. Today, for International Nurses Day, Garden Village celebrated the work of nurses all over the world, including the many who make aged care possible.
The 24/7 job that we have, as well as 365 days a year. There's no rest for the nurses, but we love what we do. We're here, very passionate about what we do.
As part of the celebration, 4 scholarships were awarded to the nurses of the future. Vaughan Howarth currently works in personal care. He's received scholarship funding to assist with his enrolled nurse course through TAFE.
A lot of the residents here, especially where I'm working, we deal with them at their most vulnerable, part of their life, and to be able to make a difference and help them, it is very rewarding.
Molly Ware received support for her registered nurse qualifications through Charles Sturt University, making it easier to answer her calling.
It's amazing. It's such a good feeling knowing that you are helping a loved one. It's really rewarding.
The program helping to future-proof the skilled workforce for the future.
A great opportunity, and it's a lot of support from Garden Village and from the auxiliary here.
Working in this facility with the nurses and learning so much of them is just going to be something that I'm really grateful for.
Samantha Crowe, 7 News.
Wingham's Beef Week is going back to grassroots to breed the next generation of farmers. High school students are passing on their knowledge to the younger kids, teaching them all about paddock to plate.
Wingham High School students are passing on their knowledge with a day at the farm, an event to engage kids for the future of agriculture.
Today we're educating the primary school students on what to do on the farm, how it works, runs, what we train for, parading, judging.
Teaching younger generations about the whole production path, from paddock to plate.
With the cows, you got to wash them and stuff. If you're judging a girl cow, you want to look how big their hips are. And you don't want to get a skinny cow, you want to get a chubby cow.
When we got to see the chickens, that was heaven. That was definitely heaven.
The Wingham High students can spend more than a year preparing their cattle for showing.
Breaking in the cattle can take a couple of weeks, and then we'll work with them over a year or so to get them ready for shows, and they'll go to a couple of other local shows before we take them to Beef Week.
Agriculture is an important and growing industry in the Manning Valley, and these students are learning the importance of it.
The old saying is that creatures are the teachers of all things, so these kids learn resilience, they learn about life, they learn about behaviour, they learn to work with animals, particularly larger animals. They learn to work with each other as part of a team and individual.
Medina Wells, 7 News.
Well, up next in 7 News, runners hit the pavement. It's all to support breast cancer research.
And a try-scoring blitz keeps the Northern Storm in second place in Premier League.
Tomorrow on Sunrise, your mid-year shopping splurge is here. Inside Click Frenzy's biggest deals, up to 80% off.
Plus, how a mum of two became a professional baby namer and a viral sensation. See you in the morning.
Bellingham has been outclassed by the reigning champions in the Men's Premier League. The Northern Storm dishing up a scalding 7-1 defeat in the lead-up to its Australia Cup campaign.
The Northern Storm was in devastating form despite injury, sidelining 8 players, dominating from the outset in round 5 against season newcomer Bellingham.
Northern Storm really took it up a gear. Very physical, very athletic team, moving the ball around.
The Storm on the attack, racking up a 3-point lead by half-time.
We have a lot of games under our belt in comparison to they have with the Australia Cup and a lot of friendlies.
Bellingham returning fire early in the second, threatening a comeback. Aidan Danzy slotting a low ball into the bottom corner.
Unfortunately conceded one. Buckets, the keeper, really wanted a clean sheet, didn't get it.
Bellingham's ambitions unravelling moments later. Thomas Sweeney completing his hat-trick with a simple tap front of goal. The Northern Storm continuing to pile on the pain. Campbell Greer slicing through with his second goal for a 5-1 lead. Number 10, Muan Sensian capping off a blistering run down the wing. The Storm's Jaden Pike sealing the deal in their 86th minute, 7-1. The Storm trailing Coffs United on the ladder ahead of this weekend's top-of-the-table clash with Yamba.
They're sitting third on the table. They've had some good results under their belt. They might be a little bit of an unknown.
Good preparation for the Storm's upcoming round 6 clash with Newcastle in the Australia Cup. Liz Penny, 7 News.
Wollongbar Alstonville has knocked Ballina Seahorses down a peg or two in Far North Coast Rugby Union, defeating them 29-21. The Pioneers showed their strength right from the very beginning, scoring the first try of the match against the competition leaders. By half-time, they led by 19 points, but Ballina didn't give up, pushing hard in the second half, but it wasn't quite enough to maintain their winning streak. Casuarina Beach were also victorious over Lismore, 43-10. There was more words then.
We made it through. Hundreds of people braved the rain at Crowdy Beach for the 8th annual Rattle Trap Race. The event is unique with classic hot rods, vintage cars and bikes racing on the sand. The races are inspired by America's Race of Gentlemen and never fails to draw a crowd.
Well, cancer doesn't stop for weather, and neither did these runners. More than 100 people pulling on their joggers for Tari's Mother's Day Classic, dressed in pink from head to toe, raising really important money for breast cancer research and, of course, support. Now, they shook off the rain to collect around $10,000 for the cause.
Still to come in 7 News, Kirsty will be back with all your local weather. We'll see you in just a moment. Good evening, everyone. Another lovely settled week on the forecast for inland parts of the state. That's thanks to a ridge of high pressure extending across New South Wales, bringing us some cool mornings, mostly sunny days and keeping those temperatures above average. But the system is also causing onshore winds, which, as we can see, are pushing that moisture along the coastline, resulting in showers for many of us. A cold front will then cross the state midweek, with some of our temperatures dipping and, again, those parts on higher ground returning to frost. Now, our showers could be quite extensive, at the moment stretching all the way from just north of Wollongong to our north coast. We could see around 50 to 60 millimetres over the next few days, with around 40 to 50 millimetres through the adjacent ranges. Tomorrow, that wet weather will continue across the day, as little as 3 to 5 millimetres, but we could see up to 15 millimetres falling following quite a foggy morning. A light breeze for most of us, winds swinging southeasterly, and temperatures much like today, sitting in the low 20s. Grafton 23 and Evans Head the same under partly cloudy skies. On the waters tomorrow, our seas around 1 metre with a 6 to 7 foot swell. Winds no more than around 10 to 15 knots out of the east to southeasterly, becoming northeasterly a little further south.
As we head into the middle of our working week, showers easing, only around 3 to 5 millimetres is forecast. Partly cloudy skies, so we could start to see a little bit of blue sky amongst those clouds poking through at times. Temperatures again around the low to mid-20s, but actually still just a couple of degrees above average. 23 on the way for Casino, 23 also in Coffs Harbour. As we head into Thursday, though, those grey skies will return, as will those stronger southerly winds blowing and a higher chance of rain. We could see up to 15 millimetres of rain returning on Thursday. Under thunderstorms, though, we're likely to see heavier falls at times. Just 21 for Byron Bay and 22 degrees in Yamba. The wet weather will then continue to track through Friday and into the weekend ahead. Certainly very drizzly few days on the forecast for our coastline.
Yeah, it's seemed very drizzly indeed. Need to batten down the hatches, Kirsty.
Yes, we've already had plenty of rain across the coast. We've certainly got more to come.
All right, Kirsty, thank you.
And that's your local news for tonight. Thanks for watching.
Stay with us at 7. Up next, Dan has all your latest national news. Have a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 6 o'clock.